I'm John Billingsley, and you are listening to Beyond Track podcast.
What are some thoughts of yours towards the whole, is Star Trek getting too woke?
The idea that a show that exists to push the boundaries in terms of what is acceptable and what it should be like just part of our human condition, which is, everybody on the fucking ship, as long as you're nice. To me, it's like you can't be too woke.
Red alert.
And if you have any imagery that you'd like us to feature in the segment, just email it, or however you're in touch with Jay, just send that on over.
Okay, great. Awesome. Yeah. I could definitely send a record cover or something like that.
I have all 12 of your record covers, actually.
Oh,
is it 12?
Is that how many there are? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. That's like the segue into the cold open right there.
Well, let's ask the important question: is do you have a guitar ready to play some Star Trek riffs while we're doing this? I know we probably caught you unprepared. That's okay.
Yeah.
We had to give you some time to think about that, because you did just come off of another podcast where you betrayed Star Trek. You did.
Yeah, right.
We know. We've been watching now. Now we've been following, and you were caught red-handed.
Is that a thing though? For still, I don't know. I always
No.
Being on a Star Wars podcast,
we're just ribbing you.
All the people that I know that like Star Trek also like Star Wars. I've never met anybody that likes one or the other. Maybe one of you guys are.
We're very much the same way.
Yeah,
I'm a Star Wars fan.
The internet is a silly place. Never go there, but that's the only place where you'll find people that hate one but love the other.
Yeah.
The internet, there be monsters there. Well, I get asked that a lot, is which one do you like better, Star Trek or Star Wars? I say they're so completely different.
Yeah,
that you can't compare them to each other. It's like asking, do you like apples or do you like oranges? Yeah. It'd be a lot different if you're trying to ask, do you like red grapes or green grapes? Because they're very similar. So I don't get that whole which one is better trope. But
yeah, I mean, they're just in space. That's kind of one of the only similarities, really.
In space, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do the beginning of this. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Beyond Trek podcast. I'm Dag, the trivia master. And in the house today, I've got Kris Rodgers from Kris Rodgers and the Dirty Gems. Kris, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you.
Welcome aboard.
And my two esteemed co-hosts, Renzo.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
And Big J.
I am here, and I haven't podcasted with you guys in so long that I feel like I kind of know what I'm doing. And it's just occurred to me, we've never had a completely successul test of this equipment.
Wait, what?
That's from Ghostbusters. No, we're remember they're in the elevator going up in the hotel to get yeah. So no, we're good. It feels good to be sitting back here again, podcasting, and we've got a musician here with us, which is, I think this is the first time we've done interview like this, talk like this with someone on the artistic side of things.
I think so. Yeah. Kris, I hear you got a new album coming out. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. My band is Kris Rodgers and the Dirty Gems, and we have a new record coming out in July called Still Dirty. It's we've had a couple records at this point, so we can have one called Still Dirty now. But it comes out on July 23rd. It's on Wicked Cool Records, which is out of New York City. It's owned by a little Steven Van Zandt from Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band, and a couple TV shows and stuff, Sopranos and some other TV shows. But it comes out July 23rd. It's got a whole bunch of rockin' songs on it and dance songs, and also tons of different genres and stuff. But the cool thing that we've got going on right now is we're working on a whole bunch of videos for it. And one of them was super sci-fi'd up with a green screen and stuff. I got to get a Picard costume and everything. So that for me, that's what's been going on Star Trek kind of wise in my music life recently. But it's been a lot of fun doing all the stuff, doing the video, doing the album. It's all been really great. So excited for sure.
That's great. I loved seeing that on Facebook, by the way, that picture of you in your red shirt.
Oh,
that was awesome.
That was a good one. I did like that one, and nice uniform. As you can see, we like dressing up for this. T-shirt, uniform.
Oh yeah.
Where's your Star Trek gear? You've got to have.
I did think about grabbing my Picard uniform when I saw him go to his, when I saw Dad go to his uniform.
Okay, so the first strike was being on a Star Wars podcast, and then the second
one,
not even having any Star Trek wear. It's like we might as well. I don't know. And we're what, 3 minutes in?
It's going downhill fast.
Worst comes to worst. No, it's just bad for us. We sound like gatekeepers.
So Chris, you mentioned something that I actually thought was really interesting. So I watched the video that you made for I Can Still Feel It, right? And you did a whole lot of green screen work with that, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So like my question for you though was the Celtics jersey or the Celtics jersey. Is it just a regular Celtics jersey, or did you guys modify it somehow to make it the perfect green screen material? Because it was really cool how y'all did that.
Yeah, it would just happen to be the same material. I have a few different Celtics jerseys, and that's the only kind of, it's like the classic Celtics green, very simple jersey. And yeah, it just happened to work out, so we went with it. We weren't even planning to do that video at all. I just happened to be wearing it, and the green screen was there, and we thought it'd be hilarious.
Success, sir, success. It's really good.
It was a pretty catchy tune, if I can say so myself.
Oh, thank you.
What got you into music?
I had a couple different things. I started kind of tinkering around on a toy piano when I was a really little kid, just figuring out like Disney songs and stuff like that. And then I started taking piano lessons too. But after a couple of years of that, I heard a neighbor play some boogie woogie piano at a party, like a little neighborhood sort of barbecue thing. And that was like my epiphany moment that I had when I saw that guy playing. And I was probably like 11 or 12 at that point, but I've been just doing it ever since. And I've been playing in bands since high school and all that kind of stuff. And been lucky to be able to play with a lot of other really great bands. And my band and other bands I've been able to tour the world and go to all sorts of cool places and, meet really great people, try really good food, which is like my favorite aspect of music is eating food. I get to try other places.
What's your favorite place? What's your favorite place that you've been to?
My favorite place is Spain.
Oh yeah,
Spain. Okay.
What made it so awesome?
Well, the people are really, really nice. That's a huge part of it, but the food is a huge part of it too. They have this thing called tortilla, which is different than Mexican tortilla. It's like a potato egg sort of like omelet cake thing.
Oh,
it's really good, and you can put cheese in it and other things and whatever in it. But yeah, that's just like and it's Spanish cheese, so it's really good. And the meat's really good over there. All the food and everything's really great. The atmosphere. They love rock and roll, and I'm in a rock and roll band. That's another big part of it. My band can go there and play really great shows, and people are really enthusiastic. So we actually have a song on the new record called Tortuga, which is Spanish for turtle.
Yeah.
And that's like an ode to Spain, at least as close that we would get to an ode to Spain.
For now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'd say you guys are more than just a rock band. You guys have some real variety in the kinds of music that you put out. You have some tracks that remind me of like The Killers, and then other things that are definitely from a different like genre, basically, right? Like it's nice to see that in a singular album. Most bands are pretty stuck in like one lane when they do things. So
we had a lot. This for us. This was one of the first records that everybody in the band really contributed to on a musical level. A lot of the other records that we've had have been me just writing the songs kind of in a room by myself. And then the band puts their own spin on stuff, but not really so much as like we're writing the song together from start to finish. So for this, we just had all these different ideas from different places. And that I think is why it has such a great variety. I agree with that. I think that for us too, this is the most dynamic record we've been able to do and record. And I think that's why, is just because everybody had a piece of writing songs. Even the first, I think 3 singles are written by at least 2, if not 3 different people.
And that was all recorded in the Rec Room?
Yeah, that's our studio up here in Portland, Maine. Yeah, and we named it after the Wrecking Crew, which is like a big old school studio crew from the 70s.
Yeah.
They played on like every record ever, basically.
Very cool. Very cool. What made you decide to do vocals over the other instruments you play?
Well, the like, you mean at a studio or a different studio? Sorry, I'm not.
Just I don't know, from maybe I'm totally wrong. From when I've read, you're the lead vocalist.
Yeah.
So what made you gravitate to lead vocals as opposed to it just as your spot in the band as opposed to other instruments?
Yeah, well, in a lot of bands, I like being a side guy quite a bit, to be honest. So I play piano in a lot of bands, and I love being like that dude on the side of the stage that doesn't have to do all that much, or I still have to do a lot, but not like
we get
you. You know what I mean? But after I did that for a few years, and after a while, I just started writing my own songs and stuff, and just kind of having my own voice and spin on things. And so I think that I always kind of wrote my own songs, but about 10 years ago or so, I actually had like a sound that I had, and so I just started singing myself and all that kind of stuff. And I was the lead singer of bands in the past, and maybe didn't play the piano in the band, just sang in the band. But this is the first band that I've been, and the only band that I've ever really been the lead singer of, while also playing the piano and trying to be like it's almost like a Billy Joel or Elton John kind of thing, but a more rock and roll band, I guess. Even though they have some rock and roll band stuff, this is more like a soul band at times.
Now, when you're writing the songs or writing the music, what comes first? Do you come up with the instrument part, the beats, the music, and then try to match vocals to that, or is it vocals first?
I usually do it music first and then match lyrics and kind of a melody to it. But a lot of people do it the complete opposite way. It's just kind of however your style is that you like or whatever. Music to me has always been like a primary factor. Like I listen to more music when I hear a song than the lyrics. I'll listen to the lyrics eventually, but that first run through when I'm listening to the melody and the music really. And so that's why I think for me, like if a lot of times I make a mistake when I'm just noodling around at home, and that mistake sounds like a cool idea for a second. And so I just try to figure out the mistake again. And then eventually I've got like a song and I've got to figure out lyrics for it. And that's the hardest part for me, is the lyrics.
Well, it's got to be challenging not to come up with lyrics that seem to repeat themselves and always be creative there. I don't know how you do it. Like I don't think I could come up with enough original content for one album of music, much less multiple.
I'm perpetually amazed by musicians generally. I tried to learn how to play the piano. I went through piano lessons for a couple of years when I was very young, and apparently the instructor didn't like me so much that she told my cousin that I was hopeless. And my cousin told me, and well, there stopped the piano lessons. So like,
wow,
that's harsh.
That's so hard.
She's probably right. I don't have the hands for it, but like, I'm amazed by people with your skill.
As somebody who plays a bard in D&D forever, because bards is the best class, fight me. I'm an improvised lyricist of my own, so I understand what Kris is going through, man. By like just a tiny bit.
Lyrics are the only we do, nowadays we put songs kind of what we call through the ringer, and we really criticize every kind of note. Once we get everything kind of down, our instincts are all down, we start to do this thing like we trim the fat off of it. And we do that musically, but for me lyrically, I do that way more. Like the lyrics will change up until the second I'm singing them in the studio sometimes.
And I'm sure there's moments where you're like in the middle of recording and your brain's just like, hey, say this word, it sounds better. And you just do it.
Yeah, no, I do. I do have a record a few years ago where I just said a random word as opposed to what I was supposed to be saying. And we ended up changing the whole lyric to that. And it makes no sense. It's just funny.
I just thought of a completely random question. But I'd heard this for some bands, that there's some bands, some musicians that for the studio side of the songs, you may have one person play every instrument, the lead guitar, rhythm guitar, maybe even the bass, and another guy does the drums, and you've got the lead singer also doing the backup vocals. So how how common is that one person does all these pieces and then they're all multi-track down to one thing? And is that something that you ever do?
I don't do that because I'm not good enough to do that. But it is done for sure. I've played with people who do that. I have like an actual kind of like a philosophy about not doing that. Because I think that certain people can do it. I think one person who can do it and can do it very, very well is Stevie Wonder. He plays almost everything on a lot of his tracks. Like Superstition is everything on there. Stevie Wonder playing everything.
Is it really?
Wow. So is Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. He's another one of those, like a savant that plays like 13 instruments and does everying.
Trent Reznor.
Yeah, Steve, just crazy. Yeah, just crazy talented. But I think that for most people, you kind of actually, I think that a lot of people, it sounds like you can hear only one flavor in the whole track. So like almost like a dinner that just has a ton of salt on it and like no other spices, just overdoing the salt. You know what I mean? So
more salt. We need more salt over
yeah.
here.
So the way that I think about it is just like, I want to get I want the guitar player to play what he's gonna want to play. I want the bass player to play what he wants to play. And we of course, if like something's not jiving, we talk about that too. But for the most part, it's just like a meal. You want like enough pepper, enough garlic, enough oregano, enough salt, enough onion powder, all that kind of stuff. Just
no,
right
I
mix.
want all meat, no sides. I get asked all the time that, okay, so you're eating the steak. Are you going to have anything with it, like vegetables or no steak? That's it.
Sure, your cardiologist has words about this, but
that's why I don't have one.
So, Kris, you mentioned a minute ago that this is the first time where you've been like the lead vocalist in a band, right? How did this band come to be, and how did you get your name as like the foundation part of the name for the band too? Like, how did that all happen for you?
Yeah, we started playing. The band started out actually as just a 3-piece band, kind of like a Ben Folds 5 band. We were drums and bass and piano, and that was it. And I've even at one time I got a baby grand piano. We figured out how to move it. We were gonna be bringing it to every gig that we played, just like Ben Folds 5 did, and we were really into that. But moving pianos is actually really hard, so we bailed on that pretty fast.
Yeah, no, my partner has a baby grand at his parents' house, and it is a massive affair to do anything with.
They're like, they can be upwards of like 800 pounds. It's
what?
And to have like 3 people, 4 people just trying to like kind of like pick it up. And
wow.
Jay, do you remember that episode His Way, where I don't remember if it was His Way. It's a DS9 episode where Kira sings and she's on the piano and everything.
Yeah,
that's a baby grand.
Oh, okay.
It's ginormous.
It
compared to like a grand, which is like the size of a freaking 1930s Mercedes.
Yeah,
that's why I can never work for a moving company, because if I showed up at a house and I had one of those, I would just be like, nope, I'm out.
Oh, you have to hire special people for that.
They use machinery to move them around, really.
Yeah, you can move a piano. There's a hydraulic machine that you can buy now you can do it with one person actually now. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. But yeah, but we went for a little while. We were like a 60s pop band, really. Even though we had the Ben Folds 5 get up, most of our songs sounded like they came from like pre-Beatles, really, like Dion songs and stuff, like Dion and the Belmonts. And then we, just like a lot of piano players do, eventually you realize you really need a guitar. If you want to rock, you need a guitar.
It's hard to rock without a guitar.
Yeah, I always say like play like your favorite guitar riff on the piano and see how much you like it then. Because it'll lose all its But yeah, and then we've just kind of been adding stuff here and there over the years. The last couple this has been a couple records that we've had horns now, I guess. But before that, it was just from a 3-piece to a 4-piece rock band, typical rock band, and now we've got a horn section and backing singers and extra keyboard players and all sorts of it's like a big party as far as the personnel goes now compared to back in the day. But it's really fun, and I like the the evolution of the band. I think it's been really great to grow in that way, and hopefully I don't have to ever go back to just being a 3-piece, but maybe we'll see.
Well, I didn't see it. Well, I might have missed it, but do you have, or does your band have any songs that are based on Star Trek? And there are some YouTube videos. I can't remember the guy's name, but he does the guitar. He does this metal Voyager intro.
Captain Meatshield.
That's right, Captain Meatshield.
Wow.
Yeah, you heard of him?
Honestly, he's playing the outro at my wedding.
Yeah. Do you do anything like that? Like have actual songs that have the it's a Star Trek riff?
Not an actual riff from Star Trek, no. But one of the songs on our new record, actually the Tortuga, the one about a turtle, the refrain was based off of the original Star Trek theme.
Nice.
There's like the ooh,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
so we kind of did that. So that's like where I got the idea to do this. Some of the girls do like a ooh like that.
So we've hit the segue into Star Trek, and I read a thing on the internet about you, and it said that you have Star Trek tattoos. Can you show us some of those?
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure.
Unless it's right on your ass cheek, then we can't do that.
No.
I mean, we can, but we don't want to see
it. Right? I mean,
the audience, hey, you know what? Everything goes.
Right? This isn't for kids. Yeah, we already know that.
I do. Yeah, I have them. I have like, they're kind of like a mashup tattoo. I'm a big Calvin and Hobbes fan as well.
Yes.
So I have like I have like the box set and stuff of all the Calvin and Hobbes. But I have a Kirk and Spock as Calvin and Hobbes tattoo as well.
Dude.
I have a
dude.
There
Okay.
you go.
I got to share this. Okay. So that's the exact same picture that I had on my car that had, I took a picture of Calvin and Hobbes and I redrew it so that Hobbes is Geordi and Calvin was Geordi and Hobbes was Spock. So he's got like the pointed ears.
Yes.
And they're just doing the LLAP and Hobbes is like, this is ridiculous. And Calvin's like, LLAP, baby.
That's awesome.
Like
I love to see that.
That's awesome.
Now, did that hurt? I mean, I'm not a tattoo guy. I don't like needles or sharp objects, so you won't see me with a tattoo. But I'd like to have a big Starfleet Delta, like just right here on the side of the arm, and flex with that all the time. And people be like, "What in the hell is that?"
Great conversation starter.
Yeah, I mean, I think that.
Well, you think it would be, but let me tell you, I've had things that were quote unquote great conversation starter that I was wearing, and honestly, after the first couple times, like, okay, I'm just trying to check out my groceries or deposit this check. I'm in a hurry. I don't want to talk about the hat I'm wearing or the shirt I'm wearing or whatever it is. So yeah, you think it's cool.
Fair enough.
It can. I'm telling you, it can get old pretty quick.
Hey, Chris, I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm a big Calvin and Hobbes fan too, and my aunt has been sending me comics of Bloom County, and they're doing this whole like 25th anniversary since Calvin and Hobbes was retired. I think it's 25, it might be 27, but they've got Hobbes in the comic, and the main character is running around being like, look, I found this wild tiger, and I need to return him to his owner. And everyone's looking at him like it's a stuffed animal because he's carrying around the doll, but he sees Hobbes. And so whenever he convinces someone that it's actually a fierce tiger, Hobbes shows up. So Bloom County by Berkeley Breathed in any comic. Check it out.
Oh my gosh, I do have to check that out. That's awesome.
Well,
So-
we're segueing completely into Star Trek now.
Yeah,
so
now
let's
that we're
do
in the
it.
Star Trek land.
I forgot we were going to talk about Star Trek. Like, well, wait a minute. Where's the Star Trek part of
podcast
this?
not talking about Star Trek?
How did
Beyond
you get into
guitars.
Star Trek, right? Like, was there something that happened, like a family member, a parent? Like, that's how I got into it. My mom was a big fan, so I got into it real young.
Mom.
Like, yeah. How'd you get into it?
Actually, my girlfriend got me into it. Really, we've been dating for a long time now. This is like maybe 14 years ago or something like that.
Oh, dude, put a ring on it. It's been long enough. What are the common law marriages? Common law
Star
marriages
Trek,
out there in
not
Seattle.
weddings.
So,
Star
okay,
Trek
all
weddings never
right.
pan out, so let's talk about.
We're waiting to do it to get married like on a starship or something. That's just what we're waiting for.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
Hey,
no,
with,
but she.
go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, with commercial space travel coming up, you might be you might almost get your chance.
I know. Who knows? They don't have to think of a different reason.
Just do it. I'm getting married this year, and my wedding is Star Trek, Lord of the Rings themed, so it's going to be great.
That's
Badass.
awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, one day she was like, because it was really when we started kind of doing like Netflix and stuff, and like having the DVDs and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, "You should watch Star Trek." She was a huge Next Gen fan growing up. And so I went on like a crazy binge for like 2 years and watched nothing but Star Trek. Like watched like every series, every season of every
that's
series.
Still my
like,
life.
Yeah, and I think I've like rewatched Next Gen, the whole series, like 4 or 5 times now. It's just ridiculous, but yeah, I love it. I love all of it. Yeah, Next Gen is like my favorite. I really like Voyager too. I think the original trilogy is great. I love where Discovery is going. It's it's like one of those things where it's like a Pandora's box. When I hit it, it was like I felt like I had all this stuff to catch up on, and all of a sudden there was no more stuff.
Well, there's a lot of Star Trek now, so trying to rewatch. We're like back in the golden age. It feels like the 90s again. Star Trek.
There's 9 shows in total that have been aired, plus Prodigy and Strange New Worlds are yet to come out. The Section 31 show is yet to come out.
Are they still going to do that?
No idea where we go from here.
Yeah, we're in a second golden age of Trek for sure. It's not the 90s Trek anymore. Now we've got something new, but there is just so much coming out, and at a pretty good clip too. Seasons are shorter now, but there's a lot of shows, so we get good content for sure.
I like shorter seasons. I just hope that they learned the lesson from the 90s about oversaturating with Star Trek. It's possible. It can happen. You get to where you see some success and you get cute with it. Like, oh, we can have all these different Star Trek shows. And I get that it's streaming. It's on everything streaming now, and you can release a weekly episode. I get that. It's just, don't fall into the tropes that we had happen back then, where you have concurrent Star Trek series going and you had to keep up with like 2 at a time at different times. So
I'm sorry, that's my life goal.
You know how much of a bitch it would be to do podcast reviews if there were like 2 series going on at the same time? The logistics, forget about it.
Where I lived, when DS9 and TNG were overlapping for those final 2 years, DS9 came on at 4 p.m. on CBS and 6 p.m. was TNG on Fox. And then the next day was Monday, and that's when Voyager came on. So you had like 3 episodes.
Oh, good God.
Well, 2 episodes, because TNG and Voyager didn't run concurrently. But anyway, yeah, you had 2 hours, two episodes within 24 hours of each other for like 7 years.
Oh,
great.
So you mentioned that you used some riffs out of Star Trek in your next album, on the Tortuga album, right? Have you ever had any sort of like messages that came out of Star Trek, like any sort of ideals, like the IDIC symbol, anything like that? Those ideologies, has that ever creeped into your music before?
Oh, good question. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that like sometimes, sort of subconsciously, a lot of like the the values of the Star Trek world probably poke through, because I definitely look to that sort of like utopia, sort of like no money, or the way their world works in general. So probably in like a hippie kind of way, I might have said something like along those lines, but like I think I was saying it like when we first got on. Like for me, a lot of the even with the Tortuga stuff, like a lot of the Star Trek stuff for me has been visual and like in videos and things like that, like the Picard costume and stuff. And it's been a weird thing trying to like blend a rock and roll band with Star Trek and getting like even the idea of doing a video like we're doing it right now. It'll be out this fall. But like we battle, like a space villain. The whole thing's in space. Like it's like we're on a starship and all that kind of stuff.
Is this going to be like the Darkness thing called Love kind of video?
Oh, maybe. Probably not like as good as that one, but yeah, I mean, but we were thinking, and the song is about, it's, mentions galaxies and all this stuff, and it's not like totally out of the blue, but we were like, how far can we take this thing? It took me like 3 Picard costumes till I got one that was the right one. All that kind of stuff, and just, I mean, I'm sure you guys have dealt with it too with costumes, or if you make your own costumes and stuff, like trying to find the right thing or making it or doing this and that. It's crazy. It's a lot of fun though.
I'm just gonna out myself. I have 18 uniforms.
18?
Yes.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
I'm getting married in the Admiral variant of this.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Awesome.
And it's hard for me as well, because I'm a big guy, I'm tall, and getting clothing, especially when it's stuff like this, specialty made uniforms, it's not like they have stock of those. A lot of times I have to click on the do your own measurement thing, which is difficult. And the other thing that's complicated about that is, and this is kind of a family trait. I'm 6'5". I've got long arms and longer in the torso than in the legs. Very broad shouldered, but then not a whole lot of waist or hips. So it's like I'm built like a cheese wedge. And when you put in those measurements for uniforms, like, okay, well, I'm 56 long and my waist is a 44. That's a very hard combination to get. And the uniform I got, of course, they came from China. Where else would they come from? But I've got one DS9, Cisco DS9 uniform. Got one for my son Nacho. Same thing, and it was the one that it was sent, and it didn't fit at all. Like I guess the 2X in the US is a whole hell of a lot different than 2X in China. Like I barely was able to get my arm through the thing.
Yep.
And I got him a one of the gold TNG uniforms. But other than that, for me, it's t-shirts. It is a little bit easier to get the t-shirts, but I'd like to add to my uniform repertoire, but not nearly as much as what Dag has.
To be fair, I have an online movie community that I have to support with multiple characters. So,
So I don't own any uniforms, but I did name my dog Tuvix. So that's kind of like equally nerdy, I think.
And we all know how that turned out.
He's adorable. And
Tuvix is great. Now. Will not accept any criticism of a dog in our channel.
Tuvix is a good dog. I'm just saying, don't split them into like 2 different dogs or something.
True. I couldn't deal with 2 of them.
Hey, Chris. Speaking of Tuvix, are there any standout characters that mean something to you? And if so, what do they mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I love Picard. I think he's like a captain's captain. I think everybody says that, though. That's a pretty typical response. I really like Geordi LaForge, just because he is like, he's kind of like me. I don't think he's ever upset about much. He's like put in these like ridiculous situations where he's got to do like 3 weeks worth of work in like 3 hours. on like a weekly basis. Like every episode, it seems like he's like, well, it'll take 2 weeks, but I'll get it done in a couple hours, like every time. Yeah. And I love that about him. I really like Data as well. Just something about the way that he's always trying to be human and never quite gets it right. And that's kind of like the most human thing about him, is that that's how we all are.
Man, Data. I remember being in honors English when I was in 9th grade, and I was just like, I don't know what was wrong with me at the time. And I'll address what was wrong with me later. But at the time, I was just like, I'm gonna be Data until I don't want to be Data anymore. And so I was literally doing like the head cocking and not using contractions and stuff like that. And then I realized I just need therapy because I was like repressing some severe emotional states.
Interesting. So you were just role playing at school every day.
Pretty much.
Star Trek was important for a lot of people's like mental health, right? Like I didn't have a very strong like father figure for a good chunk of my childhood, right? So like Picard was like a dad figure for me for sure. It's like, what would Picard do in something like this? Is this how an adult man reacts? Like how do I handle this sort of thing? Look to Picard. So I totally get what you're saying, Chris. Like he may be captain's captain, but he was also like the father figure for the crew.
And I even try to be like, I'm not like him, but I think about the way that he leads the crew too. Like when I'm trying to lead the band, and just, he seems to bring out the best in all the crew and all that, all that kind of stuff that you want in your leader. And he always does the right thing, even if it's the hard thing.
Yeah.
He breaks protocol to do the right thing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Picard was the father I never had, and Cisco was the uncle I could get in trouble with.
Cisco was probably, I would have to say, if there was a character that I identified with, like how you guys were talking, it would be Cisco. Cisco just had, I don't know. Well, here was the thing I especially appreciated even more now of having kids, was what he was able to accomplish being a single father and the relationship that he had with his son. I kind of think about that a lot of myself with my son. It's kind of like Ben and Jake Cisco.
Cisco's my favorite captain. Not that I don't think I could feel like I don't think I related to him on a level as a dad or a father. He was just the one who looked at all of the odds and said, I need to get shit done. And he went and did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was along for that ride on the Defiant.
Cisco, to me, kind of seemed like a bit of a mesh of Picard and Kirk. He did have his I'll punch you in the mouth side of him, but then he also had that very stern, this is how it's going to be. But he was not afraid to mix it up and get dirty. I mean, for God's sakes, the guy got into fist fights. He took out a couple Klingons when they tried to take DS9 in Way of the Warrior, the 2-parter for season 4.
Yep.
And then Jim Hadar, when the Defiant went out trying to find Jim Hadar, they beamed on and he just went all ham on him.
That's why they call the Defiant Cisco's motherfucking pimp hand. I'm not lying. Like, that's a thing. If you travel to parts of the internet that I travel to, that's a thing.
Oh, but the best line I like from Cisco is, "You've been trying to uniform."
Wait, you can understand that line because it's really just.
No,
he's furious in that, and I love it. And it was also cool because, as somebody who was recovering from anger, Cisco was an angry man who was in control, and no one ever gave him shit about that, and he knew his limits, and that was inspiring.
Mm-hmm. Well, now if you're going to commit to the Picard uniform, because I hear you say you have a Picard uniform, but all I see is a red Starfleet uniform anyone could wear. You've got to commit to the part, and you know where I'm going with this. We got to lose the hair, man. Got to it up. Got to lose the hair. Got to lose the beard. Why would you say Picard? I mean, you could say you're anybody. You could be crewman 37 or whatever. I mean, it's
so true.
You're gonna go to a Comic-Con and be like, yeah, I'm cosplaying as Picard. Be like, the hell you are.
Yeah, but See, Jay, if you go back several years and you look at Kris Rodgers and the Dirty Gems first album,
Okay.
you can see Kris in a fedora with no beard and no hair. So there, have that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He looks like he's at a vineyard and he's just picking grapes and he's hanging out with his former Tal Shiar Romulans. It's cool.
It's pretty.
I should say I'm like Ensign Rowe or something. That's probably like more what I look like.
Man, there's a character. It's really weird to me. Like Ensign Rowe only had like 8 appearances in the entire series, and yet, as with many other characters who only have very few appearances, still have iconic moments. You know, the scene where she helps Picard broker peace with the Bajorans, or as they call them then, the Bajora.
Right.
And then, you know, with Geordi when he's phased out, and that just leads me to want to ask, Kris, do you have any, like, we'll know the answer because I'm going to ask the question and the first thing that pops into your head is going to be the answer. What episodes really stand out to you from Star Trek?
Oh, I know right away. Yeah. My favorite episode is where it's in season 5. I can't remember the name of it, to be honest with you, but they go down and they're doing sort of like research on a pre-warp planet that the holograph of the research facility kind of like goes out.
Who
or whatever.
Watches the Watchers?
Yep.
Yeah, and they see they're like this girl and her father. He falls down and kind of hurts himself, and they end up having to help him. Long story short, they think Picard is a god, and they start chanting and kind of just like worshiping Picard.
The Prime Directive just kind of goes all to hell.
Yeah, and they're really struggling like with what to do, and and my favorite part is at the very end when he brings the daughter up onto the Enterprise, and they're like in 10 forward or whatever, and they're like looking at the planet, and he's explaining to her who they are and like kind of how they got there, and he's asking her, he's like, what did you guys live in before you lived in huts? And she's like, we lived in like teepees or whatever, and he's like, and before that, caves. Yeah. And he says, that's like us too. Before we had starships, and he goes back and all this stuff. And you really think that he's getting through to her, and she's just totally buying it. Everything sounds like it's going good. And he says, and so that's why we're here. And do you get what I'm saying? And she says, yes. And then she says, can you still bring back my brother? Can you bring him back to life or whatever?
Oh,
Somebody who had died like years ago. And he realizes that she still just doesn't really get it. And that he probably can't really ever tell them, like they'll never really understand like what is going on. And that's like such a profound thing to think about. For me, it was anyways. And I've always thought about that episode.
I really appreciate that at the end of that episode, Picard goes down and like faces an arrow and like gets shot and is like, look, I'm willing to prove to you I'm not a god. Check it out. I'm bleeding. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you get me now? I really thought that was a very powerful episode. This is a great choice there.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the choice, really, because that's one of those like thinker episodes. That's not a flashy episode. It's not best of both worlds. There's no space battles. It's not a sci-fi CGI heavy episode. It's just a thinking one, a philosophical one, and it's a great one. So kudos there.
Yeah. Well, there's debates about stuff like that, I think, all the time within Star Trek. There was a debate that I had with Nacho. We were just driving somewhere and we were talking about the Prime Directive, and he was asking why it was such a big deal, why it was so important, why would they have a directive that keeps them from doing, for example, saving an alien species from extinction. And I said, well, it's because you're playing God. When you have the technology to be able to save or eliminate an entire species on a planet, that kind of power has to have some kind of checks and balances, because you interfering with the natural development of pre-warp civilization it has big consequences, and you have to watch how you wield that power. And I pointed out to him that, well, when it comes to the Klingons, Romulans, everyone else, they're not bound by the Prime Directive. We don't know what they're off doing. However, it is a thing in the Federation. And I mentioned the example from Into Darkness, how essentially the species of that planet, there was a volcano that was going to erupt. And I guess for some reason that volcano was going to wipe out the whole species. I don't know. And what was basically a suitcase had what was needed to save that planet, save that species. Now, sure, you had to have a starship to get there. You had to hide it underwater. You had to have a shuttle to get your guy to the volcano. But think about it. At the end of it, you're walking around with something you're holding. It's like a carry-on. And here it is. This is going to save this planet. That's a lot of responsibility. And you have to have some kind of rules or guideline there so you're not playing God. And so, yeah, we had a real good debate on that. And it's, well, if you could save a species, why wouldn't you do it? Well, it's just, you just can't. You just can't, because you're wielding too much power there, and it can go wrong, go sideways.
For sure. Wait, Jay, do you hear that sound?
I hear the sound.
That's the trivia alert. That's the trivia alert.
I haven't heard the trivia alert in so long. I miss it.
I mean, honestly, the trivia alert gets added in post, but hey.
Hey, I'm keeping this in. Just don't give up all of our secrets. Yeah.
All right. So Kris, welcome to Trivia on Beyond Trek Podcast. I have 6 categories representing the classic shows: the original series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and a 6th one generically called films.
Jeez, Dag, you went all ham on trivia. This is good.
You only have to answer 5 questions, though.
Each category has 5 questions, escalating in difficulty. As our guest, you get to pick each category, and you get the first opportunity to answer each question. If you get a question wrong, it goes to Big J and Renzo. The catch is you can only pick one category one time. Now I have to ask a qualifying question here. Have you seen the original series, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise?
I have.
Okay, that's the qualifying question there. Now you can only pick each category once, and each category will advance in difficulty. For instance, if you pick The Next Generation first, I will read the easiest question from that category. The next category you pick cannot be The Next Generation, and I will read the next most difficult question from that category. The game ends after 5 questions, and the winner gets bragging rights, because we're a D-list podcast and we don't really have anything to give away. So based on those categories, TOS, TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, and films, whenever you're ready, pick a category.
Oh, man. Okay. So this will be the easiest question first, probably.
Right.
That's the way we're going. Okay.
They go up in difficulty.
Right. And the strategy is like, whichever one you don't know the best, you might want to go with that
right.
one first.
Yes. Yeah. That's what. Yeah.
Granted, I'm also the world's worst person in trying to figure out what easy trivia questions are.
Let's see. I'll go. I guess let's start with the movies, just because, like, I don't know how. I've seen them all, but it's been a long time since I've seen a few of them.
Sure thing. The very first movie question is: the motion picture treated viewers to a glimpse of life on what planet a Star Trek first? It's the first time we've ever seen this planet in Star Trek.
I don't know. I can tell you right now, I don't know.
Jay or Renzo?
Earth. It was Earth.
Yeah,
That's true.
No way.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's crazy. It is crazy. Like in the entire original series, all 3 seasons, they never went to Earth. And the first time we see Earth in Star Trek is when there's an establishing shot of Admiral Kirk at Starfleet Command. It's the first time we see Earth and see what it's like.
Wow.
We see
Wow.
Vulcan. We see Vulcan, but we've already seen Vulcan in the original series in the episode Amok Time.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would never would have caught up with that just because the way the order in which I watched all the shows and movies. But that's such a great point that you would never have seen Earth in like Starfleet Academy.
That's
Right.
right.
Right, yeah.
It's also out of the budget for TOS era, anyways. Just trying to do like a whole school of people, way out of the budget for TOS.
Oh yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Your next category, Chris, pick.
Enterprise.
Enterprise. In Enterprise.
It's a bold choice.
In the first episode of Enterprise, what Oklahoma City do two Suliban blow up a silo hunting a Klingon?
Oh, dude. Is it Tulsa?
It's really
No.
close to Tulsa. I don't live in Oklahoma, so I can't qualify that statement. Big J or Renzo?
Is it Broken Bow? Because that's the name of the episode. That's
Yes.
gotta be
It is Broken Bow.
Yeah.
Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
It's only gonna get worse.
I'm a trivia master. I've been doing trivia for Star Trek for like 2 years.
He's probably thinking, holy shit, this is what we call easy.
I'm reevaluating now. I'm going, okay, I need to be like, what's the name of the starship Kirk piloted? That's the question I need to go to.
Name 7 ships in Star Trek. Enterprise. Oh, okay, that's on me. I put the bar too low.
You know, it feels like TNG is your shtick though, Chris.
For sure. Yeah, TNG and Voyager are the two that I've watched. probably
TNG
the
and
most.
Voyager. You know what?
Yeah.
I think as a special for this episode, let's just bounce back and forth between TNG and Voyager. How do you feel about that? We'll reset the scores.
Let him
And
punish
we-
himself. He's
we
the
can
one
just-
that.
No. Let's
we
make
gave
this
him the
fun for the
choice.
guest.
He chose.
Let's make it fun. Let's
Okay.
make it fun. We've never had a guest lose.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
I don't
Never had
mind.
a
I
guest
don't.
play.
I totally don't mind losing.
Your choice, Chris. And we can alternate back and forth, or we can just stick to one or the other.
I mean, I'll go with Voyager. Sure, let's try
Okay.
it.
Okay. Voyager, in the very first episode, Voyager gets pulled to the Delta Quadrant by the caretaker, and they beam over to a planet. It's Ocampa. And they see all the Kazon on the surface, and they're all like, they really need this very scarce resource. What's the very scarce resource? Renzo's drinking.
Water. Oh, I
Jay,
wasn't
you
supposed
can't
to
answer
that.
yet. It's Chris's answer.
Well, I
Sorry.
was like, it can't be
Sorry.
that, is it? Is it?
Yeah, it's that
Totally.
bad.
Totally
failed.
is. And totally
Oh, man.
weird that like Neelix disintegrates it as soon as they deliver it. I'm like, wow, who's this guy we're gonna bring on the ship for the next 7 years? Why did he do this?
Yeah.
Go again, Chris.
Let's just try TNG. See if I can just do at least get one right.
Okay. Between 1988 and 1989, who replaced Dr. Crusher as chief medical officer of the Enterprise?
Oh my gosh, I know this one. Curly-haired lady. For just season two.
Curly-haired lady is an acceptable
just-
answer.
Just season 2. Season 2
Yeah.
only. Yeah. Plasky.
There you
Ah,
go.
got it.
Perfect.
There we go. Yay.
Perfect,
Ding, ding, ding,
perfect.
ding.
I told you I watched it. I've watched it. I told you.
Dude, you've got Calvin and Hobbes Star Trek tattoos on your arm. It's proof. It's evidence.
It's legit.
Great.
We'll give you a handicap, like 2 points.
All right. So sticking between TNG and Voyager, which Chucky? Why did I say Chucky? That's weird. That's what I get for reading questions while I'm trying to talk.
Which Chucky?
Yeah. Go with your next category, sir.
Let's just keep it on TNG, I guess.
All right. So in season, I believe it's season 3. Season 3, the Enterprise beams down to Ventax 2, only to find some woman saying, I'm the god of Ventax 2, and it's been 1,000 years or 10,000 years, and it's time for the Ventaxians to pay up. Do you remember that episode?
I know this one.
I'm trying to remember it.
Data is the judge, and Picard is like challenging her to prove that she's this god and stuff like that. And she shapeshifts into a bunch of other shapes, trying to convince them that she's also the gods of all these other places.
Okay, yeah.
And she shapeshifts into an ancient Klingon deity.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Do you remember the name of that Klingon deity? I feel bad because at the beginning of the show you were like, I hate names. I don't know anything about names.
I'm really terrible with names. Yeah.
Do you want to let's see. What do they offer in you know the game show
friend?
In the game show The Cube?
Yeah.
In the game show The Cube, you can actually make the host play for you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
For
a
sure.
thing.
Let's do that.
I know the answer to that one.
Yeah, so do I, because I wrote
don't know how
the
to
question.
pronounce it, but I know the answer.
Feklir.
Oh, is that okay?
Well, but so the Feklir were an entirely different race. They're the ones that conquered the Klingons.
No,
So
that's the Herc.
that's the Herc.
I thought they had beef with the Feklir.
No,
Is-
Feklir was the Klingon mythological guardian of Grey Thor.
Yeah, their devil equivalent, even though he's not really the devil.
Right.
Oh, you're
more
right.
More like Cerberus.
They
Guardian
just
Gates.
they look kind of similar. No, the Herc were like insect type. Depends if you play Star Trek Online. At least that's that. But okay, yeah, I had a couple things confused.
Very last question, Chris. Your choice of categories. You can pick anything you want. I know TNG and Voyager is your sweet spot.
Let's try Voyager again, I guess.
All right, let me switch over to Voyager. Do. Okay. In its fourth season, Jerry Ryan joined the cast playing Voyager's ex-Borg. What's her name?
7 of 9.
Done.
That was a good one. I like more questions like that.
7 of 9. 7 of 9.
Wow.
Tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, no, she got a
title.
of middle names. Yeah, no, like she's like I kept
I
thinking
like 7 a lot.
when I was hearing like the whole Daenerys Targaryen and like the 57 titles that followed her.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, she can't hold the candle to 7 of 9. Queen
So-
Killer.
For my entertainment, give me one. Let me pick.
All right. This is the extra question. Jay's
Okay.
gonna pick a category. What category are you gonna pick, Jay?
Let's see. Let me go with the movies.
All right, you want films. And what
Yeah,
difficulty
films.
do you want?
Give me the most difficult.
The most difficult
Yeah, the
question.
most
Yeah.
difficult.
You have to put like some weird audio moment for that, like an audio cue, like the most difficult question. All right, Jay.
You have to come up with something. All
All
right.
right, Jay. This is for Jay.
Mhm.
In Star Trek Generations, Captain Picard meets up with Captain Kirk in the Nexus, and Captain Kirk is cooking breakfast for his girlfriend Antonia. What kind of eggs is he making?
Scrambled.
Shit, I asked the question wrong.
That's on you, man.
Katarian.
That was Katarian.
Yeah, that's the ingredient.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you want to try again?
Jay and I go back and forth on this. We've been working on a trivia show for before we had the podcast.
Yeah. We have. Okay, give me another one. Give me another one. That one wasn't that wasn't fair.
All right. Last one.
Okay.
Pick another category.
Do your favorite show.
Let's do, and the shows can be any of the series.
Any of the classic series.
The classic series. Okay, let's do DS9.
All right, DS9. What is Julian Bashir's middle name?
Oh God. Oh.
See, Renzo's over there like, dude, that wasn't written down, man. I was trying to do an easy, hard question when I wrote them down. But for Jay, I'll go hard.
Okay, it's Dr. Julian. Man, you really got me on
you get
on
side
this one.
points if you could come up with the first letter.
I wish I even had the first letter. Like I'm just there's nothing. I'm even challenging if his middle name was ever said.
All right.
It was. You got me on this one.
All right, we'll do a consolation one. What's the name of his teddy bear?
Kukalaka.
Yeah, see, that would have been too easy, Renzo.
Yeah, you're right. No, I know his middle name is Subatoy because it's the name of like a Mongol emperor, and I know that from history, which is pretty cool.
The middle name was what?
That makes weird sense because he's an augment, and his middle name is an M. Wow.
Subatoy. There was no chance that I would remember that. That's
all right. That's it for trivia. Kris, we are overjoyed that you could join us today. How can our audience find you online?
They can find me at KrisRodgers.com or KrisRodgersMusic.com too. My name is Kris with a K. That's a big deal. You'll get somebody different if you don't type it with a K.
What about on like Twitter?
Yep, I'm on K Rodgers Music for Twitter. I'm on Instagram as well, Kris Rodgers. I'm on Facebook, Kris Rodgers Music. I'm trying to think if there's any more of those. But yeah, I'm on all of them. We got Bandcamp as well, Kris Rodgers Music. It's on Spotify and Apple Music and all the different streaming sites as well. Kris Rodgers and the Dirty Gems.
So if you just search Kris Rodgers and make sure you do it with a K, you're likely to find all of your social media.
Yeah, if you just do it with a K, and you should be good to go. There's a lot of Kris Rodgers though out there with C's, so no promises if you type that.
We don't accept C's, no C's, just K's only.
Yeah. No bloody A, B, C,
D. No. C's we don't accept.
Okay, right.
We don't have an Enterprise K in continuity. Maybe in Discovery Season 4 Enterprise K.
It's implied.
Well, yeah.
By Season 4 Discovery, they probably have it, or had it at some point.
Well, I have the Voyager J. I wonder where the Enterprise is by that point.
Wow. Renzo, can we find you online anywhere?
Reddit's probably the only place that I'm really active. Just at Hawkshark. Just message me there if you want to criticize me. That's great.
Jay?
Where you can find me online, the FBI watch list. So I'm all over there. Oh, no, This
comment right here.
Right. Officers, this comment. But no, besides on Facebook, that's just about it. But I'm not on Facebook is Big J. So if you're able to guess finding me on Facebook,
but if you were to follow the podcast,
if you follow the podcast, then it's
Beyond Trek Productions on Facebook, you'd find Big J.
And I'm not that secretive, but I don't want to make it easy.
He's out there in the world. I'm Dag. You can find me on Twitter at Trek Nexus. You can always find the podcast at Beyond Trek Pod on Twitter. And Kris, when does your album drop?
It drops July 23rd.
July 23rd. And I've already listened to you on Spotify. You've got some great tunes, man. If you're listening to this podcast right now, check out Kris Rodgers and the Dirty Gems on Spotify and wait for that drop on July 23rd. We're going to get that new album. What's the name of that album?
Still Dirty.
Still Dirty.
Still Dirty. Okay.
Kris, I really appreciate you being here tonight. Big J, Renzo, thanks for joining Beyond Trek Pod. And
before we go, we got to thank our Yeah, our contributors.
We have to thank people.
Yes, we got some people to thank. So for our social media, if you go on Google and search Beyond Trek Podcast, and it has to be all 3 words. If you just do Beyond Trek, sure, you'll find us if you scroll down some more, but Beyond Trek Podcast is the way to get it. And I'd also like to thank our donators, special contributors, Stephanie Baker, who is a Patreon and Anchor donator, S. Tam, who helps us out on Patreon, as well as Anne Marie. We've got Jim Cook, who is one of our Anchor donators, and Anchor.fm is where we have our audio podcasts, and that will take you to our audio podcast is everywhere. I mean, you think of a podcast platform, we're there. And the video part of it is the same. It's just the audio, if you like to listen, video, if you like to watch that. So yeah, that's us. You can find us everywhere, and we're going to be getting ramped up here in a few weeks, doing our weekly episode reviews, and we're going to do something special when we do that. So I'll go ahead and we can start talking about that. We have decided we are going to do weekly live stream with our episode reviews. Before, we would record it, do all the editing and all the cute post-production and whatnot, but we decided, let's have a little more fun with it and engage with the audience. And so we're going to do what we're going to call Saturday Night Live Stream. And this will be 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, where we will talk about the that week's release episode of Star Trek. So start getting calendars ready for that. August 12th is the season 2 premiere of Lower Decks. That's Thursday. So Saturday, August 14th is when we start our BTP SNL, Beyond Trek Podcast Saturday Night Live Stream.
And if Lauren Michaels sends us a cease and desist, we'll know we made it.
Yes, you've made it. When you get that, to me, a cease and desist is like a compliment. That is when you're there. You've made it.
Isn't Saturday Night Live already considered a stream because it's live?
Well, yeah.
Those guys.
But yeah, Kris, again, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me. I love talking Star Trek, and even losing trivia is all right with me too.
Hey, we look forward to following your album's success, and we'd love to have you back as a guest sometime, anytime you want.
Oh, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you. And to the audience, thank you for getting this far into an episode of Beyond Trek Podcast.
Live long and prosper, everyone.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.